Namaste. Hello, Jen. Hello, Kristen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, I just have a couple windows open and just get this organized. There we go. Hello. What are you two chatting about? You were just in the middle of watching your favorites video. Your favorites video. What is your favorites video? Oh. Yes. I will. I have so much catching up to do on YouTube. And I know there's a couple of new tags that have come out as well too that I'm hoping to join in on. So today I'm going to stay focused on the Wildwood, and for the next week or so continue to make a few videos in this series about this deck. I think the feedback's been pretty good. Like taking this piece by piece, chunk by chunk, really helps to build a good foundation for this deck. I also wanted to say that, yes, I did schedule this live an hour later, and Andrew Well-Tempered Claire is doing an astrology group that starts at my 6 o'clock p.m. So in an hour's time. So that's why I moved an hour ahead, because I didn't want to cross over with his. It's really nice to support each other. So I moved back an hour, in case you're wondering why I changed the time. Hey there, Mary Beth. Favorite things. This was the tag. Was this the tag from Jamie or the tag from Angela? Jamie did my favorite things, right? And Angela did the trinket video or my little charms video. I would really like to do both of those, especially the favorite things. Anyway, welcome. Today is sun, heat, warmth, and we're going to be looking at the top of the tree. So if you want to look at the graphic on the left where the world tree is, this is going to be our focus today. Right, yes, Jamie. And yesterday, we were looking at the energy of water and the autumnal equinox with Jen and our friends in the Southern Hemisphere, which is where they are right now, just coming out of Lammas, Lugnasad, and having a kind of a bit of a comparison between the experience of being on either side of either of the equinoxes. Now today we're going to go up to the top and look at the world tree, the energy of the world tree, and just reflect on that and the cards that move through the season of summer, which are the bows. And I have to tell you, as I was reviewing this chapter, this minor theme, it's really a beautiful suit in this deck, and I'm really looking forward to getting to this point in the wheel. Gifts edition. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to turn to the table and just try to stay focused. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. I've had a very busy day with Reiki and readings and teaching. I might have to move this candle. I see it's dancing, doing something really funky. There we go. That's better. Okay. So I just want to make sure everything is focusing. I might need a little bit more light. Let's turn the light one higher. So the shaman over on the left is the element of air. Just to review, that is where we are in the Northern Hemisphere right now. And sorry, I've got my cards mixed up again. Bows. I had this all organized and then I whooshed it off my table to do something. Arrows here. I'll put my face up just while I'm doing this so we can just chat and hang out for a second here. Arrows. I wasn't quite ready to go live. Not quite. So today I started the Read With Me Level 1. And one of the new things I did today was contemplate the Tarot of the Divine, and how beautifully that deck works with the whole notion of storytelling in the tarot. And it's not a deck that I've really started working with yet. I've just been enjoying reading Under the Moon, the extra book that comes with the deck. And yeah, it was a beautiful addition to this course to start off the course. Oh my God, 78 cards. It's a lot of cards, you know. Vessels, arrows, season of bows. Okay, here we go. Sun, wanderer, world tree, seer. I have no idea where the suit of bows is gone. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh my God. Here we go. So just in summary, so the suit of air is ruled over by the shaman. Yesterday, we looked at the seer and the energy of the seer, and we talked about the relationship between the seer and the shaman. There's similarities and differences, and how in the Wildwood Tarot, their energy is slightly different than in an RWS. They really do sit as partners in the center of the wheel of this deck. They both have the 4 elements before them. They both work with tools. They both work with magic. The difference is, the way that I perceive it is, there's a very more of a solar energy with the shaman. He has the bear cloak. The seer has the owl cloak, which is much more lunar energy, solar energy, lunar energy. And also, so this one is going to be much more receptive and internal, and the shaman a bit more external. And so here we have the minors are the air suit. And in this deck, that is arrows. Okay, and yesterday we looked at the vessels. Today, we're going to look at the top of the wheel of the year according to the Wildwood Tarot. Actually, I should address that as well too. And then on Tuesday, we're going to look at the bottom of the wheel of the year according to the Wildwood Tarot. And that is overseen by the Wanderer, which is the suit of stones, the suit of earth. So just so you have this picture with the cards. So on the left, you've got the graphic, and on the right, you've got the cards. Yesterday, we talked about the seer, and she, or I can use the pronoun they if you prefer, is standing in front of the world tree. And so there is a connection between the 2 card and the 21 card. And if they were to come up in a reading, there would be something pretty profound about the energy of that reading and the connection with the world tree. Hello, Joseph. Welcome. And what I wanted to say was to kind of watch for that, because this acts as a portal. We were talking about yesterday how the shaman sits before his cave, which acts as a portal, as well as the seer stands before the world tree, which also is a portal for journeying. And so should this come up, then you would actually have the bridge itself in the reading. This is the overseer of the summer season. And on the world tree itself, we've got the 4 seasons represented on the tree. We also have an aspect of the journey. It's noted in the guidebook that there's no deceptive paths. There's no secret paths in here. This is an open, winding journey that we all take a part of. And that when we arrive here, this is a bridge to another layer. So I just wanted to remind you that should you have a reading where you get both of these cards, there's something really special coming up. At the top of the wheel, I just want to clarify, a lot of times when you look at the wheel of the year, the Yule is at the top. And if you look at my graphic on the left, I have not used the words Yule and Litha. So Yule refers to down at the bottom, December 21st, mid-winter solstice. And at the top is Litha, which is the summer solstice. And in the Wildwood Tarot, they don't use those words. They just refer to the solstices as solstices, the equinoxes as equinoxes. And they turn the wheel with summer at the top. But a lot of the times you're going to see the wheel with the summer at the bottom. And so this is another reason for putting this deck in the Hanged Man deck series, because you quite literally have to turn your head upside down sometimes to figure out where you are in this deck. At the top of the world tree, the very center of the world tree, the center of summer, at the midsummer solstice, usually June 21st or June 20th to 22nd, the sun is at its peak. The effect of this card, the strength of this card, the effect of the energy of the sun in general is at its peak. And so in the season of bows, we have, these are very dominant energies, and they kind of underlie any of the messages that you get regarding the bows themselves, as well as, you know, any questions about summer, right? So you've got this going on. Summer is also the time of abundance. And there's a lot of messages in the suit of bows in regards to that. Okay. So let us go to the next one. So let's go here. So in each of these videos, we've been looking at the animals that are associated with the season. And over on the right is the page, which is the stoat. And over on the left is the adder, which is the king. And in this deck, the kings welcome in the season and the pages see out the season. And the queens and the knights touch either the solstice or the equinox. Okay. Now, for those of you that haven't watched the other videos, I'm really sorry about this. My cards are all mixed up for some reason. I will try to find them. For those of you that haven't watched the other videos, one of the questions I've been asking is, how does it help you, or why do you think the kings herald in the beginning of the season, and why are the pages part of the transition? One of the really cool things in this suit is the stoat is the page. So over on the right, the graphic on the right. And I did not know this until, it's not an animal that's native to where I am, but the stoat is actually like a bit of a chameleon. The color of the fur changes on the stoat. And so as I revisited this card, it just reminded me that makes perfect sense to have the page at that transition of that season. So that wasn't a really easy one for me. But yeah, I really would love to hear some feedback from you about how that sits with you, with having the court cards kind of, I don't want to say backwards, but the system is different in this deck. Okay, 4, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not sure where my king and queen have gone, so I will find them and then come back. Oh, this is so embarrassing. Chat amongst yourselves just for 1 minute. I'll see if I can quickly find the adder and the hare. There we go. There she is. Okay, so there's your queen, who is the hare, and your king is the adder. I will try to zoom out a little bit. With the adder, we definitely have the energy, a very masculine energy. And this fiery king of bows represents that sense of male dominance, fiery masculine dominance. You get the aspect of a very strong lunar energy with the hair, as well as the fertility, the fecundity. And then with the fox, it's just a brilliant choice for the energy of the night. This is an animal that I have so many different associations with because of different teachings and different cultures. And again, I want to encourage you to be okay with the associations that you grew up with, the things that you already know. And then if you want to add on another layer, then go ahead and add on another layer according to the Wildwood Tarot. But it's not meant to overwhelm. It's just, there's just all these beautiful teachings from around the world. And if you encounter animals in the Wildwood that you're not familiar with, then have fun with it and do a bit of research and take your time in getting to know them and getting to know their energy and how they may represent or have why they may have been chosen to represent a certain season. Okay. Let's go to Joseph's comment here. Hi, Gerald. Oh, that's nice. That's perfect timing. Joseph says, it seems like the kings heralding in the changes could make sense as they are the dictators commanding how things will be. One of the questions that I asked, now I can't remember which video it was in, we were talking about astrology and tarot. And in astrology, we have cardinal signs, which are the signs that herald in the season. And then we have fixed signs and then mutable signs. And the mutable signs would be in relation to the mutable stoat. So that makes perfect sense. The cardinal signs are the ones that bring in the season. And then we have fixed signs in the center. So we have 3 associations, not 4. And one of the questions was, and this is an ongoing thing that you might want to reflect upon, is, do you see the queens as fixed or the kings as fixed? Do you see the queens or kings as cardinal? And I know that we're not working with astrology in this deck, but this is a really interesting reflection just when we're talking about this. So I'm always curious to draw ties between different paradigms, different ways of looking at the tarot. Alrighty. And Mary Beth's reading Wild Magic. That's awesome. Okay. So let's go on to the minors. And just like the other 2 suits that we have looked at, the minors start, so the kings, we start over here with the aces, and the aces, 2s, and the 3s. So the aces, the 2s, and the 3s generally work together with the energy of the king. So let's just have a few of these. Now, again, we're not doing this to memorize the timing and for prediction with the Wildwood Tarot, but just to understand the underlying foundation energy of the deck and where we are in seasons and how the Wildwood Tarot views the energy of fire. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that, if that's okay. Because I really feel something different with this deck and the energy of fire. There is a strong sense of empowerment and skill. And in
the element of fire, we have so this suit is called bows. And I have never made a bow, but in the Wildwood guidebook and in Wild Magic, there's a lot of respect and wisdom, knowledge, tradition, customs that come with the actual creation of turning the stave into a bow. And in the ace here, just looking at the level of artwork and the skill that goes into the creation of the bow, the stringing of the bow, the connection of the arrow with the bow, this is an incredible card here when you go into that level of detail. And you also would probably assume this particular bow or your bow or any bow has been created with a certain style of hunting in mind, or hunting for a certain type of animal. Perhaps the bow has been created for a particular person. And so included with this energy is the energy of the master, and the respect for the hunter, the respect for the hunted, the power, the strength, the courage, the craftsmanship. It's a very layered ace of bows, and the key word is spark of life. And there is so much more here. This is a gate. This is an opening, a pathway. This is an opportunity. We have smoke. We have fire. Arrows representing the energy of air. Bows representing the energy of fire. Super connected card. Yeah, I just was reminded as I reviewed this suit how very, very powerful this suit is. And I don't think that perhaps I don't know if you know the slow tarot, but the slow tarot Ace of Wands is quite extraordinary. But this one really had me thinking. So in this one, the two staves on either side of this very powerful figure here have not yet been made into a bow. And so understanding whether we're actually looking at a bow or we're looking at a finished or a broken or a half completed bow builds into the story of this suit. So you want to look to that. So in the 3 over here, we have a bow and we have 2 staves. And we have the 2 serpents here. This is quite a card as well, too. I almost feel, and I don't know if it's just me and my Leo energy or what it is, but there's some extraordinary power going on in the suit of fire. Okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of pausing here because it's extraordinary. And then we move into the Queen energy, and there's no precise, I mean, I've given you precise dates because these are the dates that come from I call it book number 3. The Queen and the Knight sit on either side of the summer solstice, right? So we have the summer solstice, and then these two touch energy at the summer solstice. So one of the things that I encourage you to do when you're doing readings with this deck is that you pull out the cards that are associated with the day that you're doing your reading and use them as a base for your reading, and then shuffle the remainder of the cards and see if you can weave that together. I think that's one of a really beautiful way to work with this deck. Okay, so here's the 6. I'll show you the 5 in a second. The 6s sit at the equinoxes and the solstices. So the 6s sit on those lines.
And if you look at the graphic on the left, I don't know if you've noticed in the other ones, those 10, they're not evenly spaced, and that's because the 6 sits at the center, according to the book by Cross. I always forget her name. Cross. Allison. This one. This one. A Year in the Wildwood. So she was part of the Wildwood team. Yes, Allison Cross. So it's in this book that she goes into more detail, specificity with the dates. So you know what I mean? So you could, if you were actually on the summer solstice, lie down these 4 cards, as well as the minor card that would be applicable, and then shuffle the remainder of the deck, and then lay your cards for the day on top of that. I just think it's a brilliant way to use this deck. Okay. For sure, you need to get the larger guidebook. That is without question. Where is Gerald's comment? There it is. Okay. And Joseph's confirming something here. It seems to me like this deck's definitions of meanings are almost unimportant compared to our own interpretations. I suppose, Joseph, that's why this deck is in this series. And this deck does take some time to work with because it's a very, very special creation. That's all I have to say. I don't want to, you know, and I made that video the other day about in response to Tom Benjamin and so forth, and how the art adds flavor to a traditional meaning. And in this deck, we've got a different system going on. Some of the cards overlap for sure, but there's a lot to be learned, and it's a deck that you really want to take your time with. So the 5 of Bows, again, we have a card of power, of empowerment, not really a card of conflict, but a card of strength. And I really feel that power and the strength through the whole suit of fire. The 6 of Bows, rather than being about success, the key word is abundance. And this energy of abundance is reflected through the whole summer season. This is when we begin to harvest, when there's a lot that the earth offers. There's no shortage of food. Everything is warm, and life is a lot easier. And so the success of the 6 of fire is more of a success of the community rather than an individual success. And so you can bring in ties to the RWS. It just takes a little more energy to do that. Okay, so here's our fox. And we have 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's just look at a couple of these cards. Seven. Why do I have so many cards? Let's look at the 7 and the 8. Okay. The 7 of Bows. There is 1 bow on the ground that is broken. The string of the bow is broken. And then there's 6 staves standing up against the tree. Over here, there's wood that is being burned. There's smoke. And the key word on this card is clearance. And this is a card about letting go of that which we no longer need. Things get broken, right? We break the dishes. The bows don't last forever. They need to be restrung. We don't need to cling to things that we could pass on to somebody else. Or if we have too many of something, we pass them on. So the energy of clearance is about making space for new things. And if you take some time to reflect on the energy of these cards, and again, just let them be their own thing, it's a really beautiful story that unfolds as we move around the wheel. In the 8 of Bows, we have a hearth fire. And so everybody is around. This is a time of celebration. It's a time of camaraderie. Again, we're in community. So there's a time for community, and there's a time for being on your own in the Wildwood. And when we are in community, there's always a celebration in this deck. And then we go to the Stoat, who sees the season out. And we have the 9 and the 10. And kind of an interesting send-off in this deck, in this suit. I love Baccara Whitner's word for the 10, which is saturation. And here we have the 10 of Bows, and again, definitely a card of saturation. There is a lot being carried. The key word is responsibility. And this deck, unlike other guidebooks that I have read, talks about the choice of responsibility. And this may very well be responsibility to the community. The emphasis is more on responsibility than burden. There is a burden involved, but it's not the primary message of this card. And the 9 of Bows is really, really interesting. The keyword is respect. And you know what this reminds me of? Oh, I think I missed the 4 of Bows. I'll show you in a moment. This card here, this reminds me of the many, many years ago, I participated in a speech contest, and it was in Japanese, and my speech was on the subtleties, the nuances of the word traveler versus tourist. And what motivated this speech was visiting some hotels and standing behind people who got really, really angry at the check-in counter, especially when they don't speak the native language and they expect everything to be the way it is at home and have very little patience for the challenging communication. You're running a hotel, of course, everything should be in English. Everything should be clear and done in a way that I am completely comfortable with. And I remember talking, and there's lots of other differences between a traveler and a tourist in approaching that situation. But this card, it reminds me of that. This card reminds me of, when we go into the wild wood, when we go into the forest, we need to dress appropriately. We need to make sure that we have water, that we have, if we're going to be away for a while, that we have some kind of cloth or bandages or first aid. We need to make sure that we have something to carry our trash, that we make as small a footprint as possible. And so this 9 of Wands energy it's a really cool card. It's about when you meet, whether you meet beings, or you meet animals, or you meet plants or trees, how can we be more empathetic? How can we be more humble? How can we be more humble? So it's a card of humility. So I want to ask you this. How could we bring I think this is a question. So this study has really stretched my mind. How can we bring the medicine or the message of humility to an RWS 9 of Wands? So what I'm thinking is, and especially in relation to Joseph's comment, was if we study and take our time with a deck like this, can we expand our understanding of the RWS? Can we bring that layer in? Can we see the humility in a battle-weary 9 of Wands? Can we find the respect? And I think I can. I don't know if you can make that leap, but to me, it's just a beautiful, beautiful connection. Okay. Let's go to Kristen's comment. I would think the meanings from the mythologies would inform the meanings. I don't know if you're speaking to a particular card or not, but for sure, the battle is so large. All we can do is accept what you could do and what you couldn't. These are all really good points. Mark, Ryan, and John Matthews have been studying and practicing shamanism for years, and not just Celtic shamanism. They have studied lots of indigenous cultures around the world, and they have spoken all over the world on this topic. They are very, very informed. And so when the Wildwood Tarot was created and adapted and changed, and they morphed the Greenwood to the Wildwood, these cards, like there was a lot of thought put into these cards and the teachings that they wanted to bring through. And so you have a handful of cards that are very easy to transfer an RWS association. And then you have a couple in every suit that are not. And if you give it time, they make complete sense, and they add this beautiful, beautiful layer that is quite extraordinary. So the one I skipped over was the 4, which I think might be one of my, I love this one. So this is the celebration card. And with everything that I've said today, what I feel in this card is the joy. It's almost as if I can see these young women and young men having spent the day with their mentors and crafted their first and crafted their first bow, like from a stave to a bow, with heat and pressure. And I have no idea how you turn a stave into a bow, but the celebration is part of the craft. And I didn't talk about this in the arrows and the vessels. Maybe because I just spent a little extra time today actually reading through this suit. But I'm wondering if the respect for the craft also is a layer that I have missed in the past in the arrows and in the vessels. Because in the vessels we also have a craft, and in the arrows, the suit of air, we also have a craft. So I'm going to revisit that and look at that again, because I think that aspect of the deck is quite unique. And then when we go to the suit of stones, sometimes we're looking at stones and sometimes we're looking at arrowheads and other things as well too. So there's an aspect of craftsmanship that goes throughout the whole deck. But I have a feeling, because in the suit of fire, we're looking at will and skill and empowerment and strength, that whole spark of life, which is the ace, the keyword for the ace, is a critical component of this suit. Okay. So yeah, so I hope that if you are journeying with me, either now or sometime in the future, that you give yourself time with this deck. There's no rush. And if I were not making these videos, what I do is on my altar right now, I have the shaman because it's the time of air. And then the kingfisher is up there, the king of air. The 3 of arrows is up there. And then down on the bottom, I have the 2 cards that heralded in the February 1st, the Brigides Festival, or the February 1st. Okay, so I am just, and then when I shuffle the rest of the deck, then I lay those cards in front of the altar. And I take my time and I have this going for the whole year so that I get to know the deck through the whole wheel of the year. And this is the 3rd time that I've done this. The 3rd time, and not subsequent years. So have some fun with this and just, don't try to memorize anything too quickly, because it's an awesome deck. Do you have anything else you want to say or ask or share? Because I would love to hear. Blending is a great way to interpret that. Yes, for sure. And Kristen says, blending and storytelling from the meanings. Use a specific part of the brain I need to retrain. Yeah. So that's like, what I said today in class. Oh, hello. That's not me. Where am I? Is that these are muscles that we need to exercise. I get frustrated in, I guess because that's our culture, right? We want to do things quickly. We want to understand now. We want to have everything the same so it's easy to understand. And this is a deck that is a journey. It's part of a journey. It's part of a tradition. It's part of a culture. And at the same time, if you have enough patience with it, you can bring in everything that you know. So, yeah. So Tuesday, we're going to look at the suit of stones, the season of winter, and the element of earth. And the overseer of that season is the wanderer, the fool. So I will be on in the morning before my live readings, and I hope that some of you can join me then. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday or Monday, wherever you are in the world, and I will chat with you very soon. Thanks for being here. Namaste.